Mm-mm. Hello, hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to season 4 of the Heartline with Adelai Brown. I am so excited to have you here. This show is all about growing community, all about sharing and spreading love, but more importantly, we are about growing heart equity. What is that? Personal, relational, and financial wealth that we grow and cultivate through authentic living. This is season 4. I am so excited about it. I know that God is about to transform all of our lives through these powerful conversations that we are having. And that's exactly what this is. I believe that if you are here and you are listening to this show right now and you hear my voice, you're a member of the Heart Tribe. You are supposed to be here. You have a purpose here on earth, and we have been connected so that we can support one another along the way. And I'm just so ecstatic about being here. If you do not know who I am your heart coach. I have been around doing heart coaching since 2014 when we started Heart Talk, our weekly empowerment session. We started Heart Talk back in September 1st of 2014, and ever since then, I've been a heart coach and doing heart work. What is heart work? Heart work is when we confront matters of the heart, tell ourselves the truth, and work to authentically transform our lives. And I know that could sound like a lot. I know that sometimes we could get overwhelmed. We could feel like, it never ends. Life never quits. It's always something. And guess what it is? Just like you got to eat every day, you need to heal every day. And so God started me on this path ever since I was a little girl. But my story is I grew up with my mom, and we had a good life, but we also had some serious struggles. And because of that, I became a teen mom. I did not grow up with my father in my life until much later in my life. And I really grew up feeling like something was inherently wrong with me. And on the surface, I put on well. I was an all A student. I did good in school. I was a good child. But internally, I was at war within myself. I really didn't believe that I had a lot of worth or value. Even though people loved me, I couldn't feel it, right? As a result of that, I became a teen mom, and I started living a very destructive life. For a season of my life, because I did not understand my value. I had a supernatural experience with Christ when I was about 20, getting ready to turn 21 years old. And ever since then, I have not been the same. Have I been perfect? Absolutely not. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely, I have. Have I done things I haven't had no business doing? Absolutely, I have. However, I'm doing the work. I'm doing the hard work. And ever since we started Heart Talk, and I started trusting God, and really tapping into this arena of being a coach, being a leader, and just encouraging others to heal as well. Because hard work, another what you could call a synonym for it, I would say, would be inner healing, right? Emotional intelligence, emotional wellness and development. But it's so much deeper than that. It involves your spiritual growth and development, involves your mental health and growth and development, but it also deals with you financially. It deals with you as a being. Being here with a purpose, right? You weren't just put here to pay bills. You weren't just put here to be the go to just help everybody else get their lives together. You were put here for a purpose. And I know you were, because I am here doing this with you because of your purpose being so important, just as much as mine is as well. So I will share more about my testimony, and you can also check out my YouTube page and check out my video that I did with the 700 Club. It's a very good condensed um, description of the things that I went through and how I pretty much got here to be working with you. I have been doing the work. I've been putting in the work. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. But most of all, I am a child of God. I am a daughter of the King. And I believe that the Lord put me here to do this podcast, to do this show. It's so much bigger than a podcast, though it's showing on podcast platforms. I know that the Heartline isn't just a tag phrase. Heart for me has many different acronyms, but typically when I'm talking about heart, I'm talking about honesty and healing. I'm talking about enlightenment. I'm talking about authenticity, revitalization, and transformation. And I just truly believe that we were all put here for a purpose. And I'm here to support you along the way. I know that the hell that I've caught in my life is not for no reason. And so every week I'm gonna just get on here and have conversations with you. But I want this to be a dialogue. I want to hear from you. I want you to connect with me wherever you are listening to this. Let me know where you are. Connect with me on YouTube. Join the Heart Tribe. We're gonna have some amazing programs and events coming up here in the spring to support you and us as we grow. And we have some amazing sponsors that you'll be hearing about as we go throughout our season. Um, but just really excited about this work that we're doing. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Now, this is season 4 of the Heartline podcast. And just to be honest, I was like looking up like what does the number 4 mean and just all these other things, but not even trying to be all deep like that. Like the last episode of season 3 of the Heartline, I recorded the morning of March 11th of 2024. When I was recording that podcast, I had no idea that my mom was home dead at my house. I did not know that. So I recorded that podcast, and it was talking about how you need to run your race, right? And it was a powerful podcast. I encourage you to go back and listen to it. Um, talking about how you need to run your race, and I didn't even realize the race that I was running in my life at that time. So I recorded the podcast, got it uploaded and everything scheduled to go out. I went and had a walk with a really dear friend of mine, and that's just something that we do to catch up with one another. We had a really good conversation, and I noticed that it was already by this time, maybe about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and my mom hadn't called me yet. She hadn't checked in. And I was looking at my phone like, wow, mommy ain't called me yet. Like, wonder what's up with that. Something felt weird about it, but didn't think much of it. And so my friend and I, we left our walk maybe about 1:15, 1:20, because then I got home is about 1:30 and I wasn't far from home at all. And when I got in the house, I saw my mom's car still outside. So I just walked in the door and was like, Mommy, yelling for her. And she didn't respond. And right then my heart kind of dropped. My husband had just gotten home and he peeked in the room at her, but to him it looked like she was sleeping. So he just kind of left her alone because he didn't want to wake her up. So when I came in and I just kind of busted in the room, and the rest was history. We found her there. She had already transitioned, and reality hit. How they say, the spit hit the fan. And I already knew that that was the last episode of season 3, but I didn't realize how much my life was going in line with what was going on. And at that time, I was in a situation where I was working on getting myself together in the sense of it was time to relaunch Addie BB. It was time to get out there and do more hard work. The Lord had just given me the message. I think in early 2023, the Lord gave me the term heart equity because I wanted to describe what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 3 businesses. One is a personal professional development company called Addie BB LLC. That's where I do most of my hard work, my business training and coaching and instructing, the mentoring that I do in the community. A lot of that is all dealing with personal and professional development, right? And our mission is to create effective systems that efficiently help individuals, communities, and organizations navigate internal and external conflict, right? Um, because we all have conflict internally and externally, internal within self, and internally within organizations and families, but then also externally. How do these, we have external issues that are impacting us, and the work that we do, this hard work really helps us. But I also have a real estate company, and I do a lot of work with my clients, whether they're buying or selling, but it always comes back to doing hard work. It always comes back to growing heart equity. And I also have a maintenance company and property management. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because last year, when I recorded the last episode of the Heartline season 3, I did not know that my life was going to change like that. And I was like squared up and teed up to like take this thing to the next level. And I'm about to do this, and I'm about to do this thing big, and I'm about to make this thing happen. And, I was getting my mom on board and talking to my friends and family, like my group and my community, about, hey, I'm gonna need your support. I'm gonna need you to help me with this. I'm gonna need you to help me with that. And mommy died. And to be honest, I wanted to die with her. Can I be honest with y'all? Like, season 4 and moving forward with the Heartline, it's gonna be real. It's gonna be really real. I believe that this show is gonna separate the wheat from the tear. It's gonna draw some people to me, and it's gonna cause some people to leave me. And I understand that. I understand that everybody will not like this. Um, but it is what it is. When my mother died, I wanted to die with her. um it felt like my world had literally come to an end, even though everything was still going on around me. And so I have these 3 companies, and God gave me this image to grow heart equity, which is, what is heart equity? Personal, relational, and financial wealth that we grow through authentic living. And authentic living is different from what we see now, and we'll talk about that in times to come. But I've been like meditating on this, and just like ruminating over this, and just allowing it to just kind of simmer. And because I realized how powerful it was, because I wanted to like fit in a box, right? I wanted God to kind of just let me do one or the other. I'm like, okay, well, if you want me to do a realtor, be a realtor, but I ain't doing heart coaching no more. Well, if you want me to do heart work, or if you want me to do that, then I don't want to do real estate. And then if you want me to do those things, that I don't want to do the maintenance stuff, and I don't want to like grow these companies that I'm working with, because I'm saying me, but when I say me, I'm talking about like my family as a whole, right? And mommy died. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Right? My mom and I, and if you listen to previous podcasts, my mom and I went through a lot. Um, Growing up, our relationship was so tumultuous, right? Even up through my 30s, like the last 4.5, 5 years of our life was like amazing. The pandemic came in and really ended up being a blessing for me and my mom, and so many others as a result of my mom and I healing. But what I will say is that we always loved each other, but we didn't know how to love each other. And that's why I'm so excited about this season, because I'm gonna get into the nooks and crannies of like what it means to like really love somebody, and what it means to really love out loud, and what it means to love yourself and set boundaries. Because my mom and I learned how to set boundaries and love one another in a healthy way. We went from having a very toxic relationship, very unhealthy, but very common. I see a lot of mothers and daughters interact the way my mom and I did. I can pick up on things that other people can't pick up on. I see a lot of sons and fathers interact like that. I see a lot of mothers and sons interact like that. I see a lot of fathers and daughters interact like that. And so when mommy died, I say I have like a board of directors in my life, and my mom was like the chief of the board. And I didn't even think that before I started doing this hard work, I didn't even think that it was really possible that I could have that type of relationship with my mother. And I'm telling you this because I don't know where you are in your life right now, but I feel like you got some things going on that you feel like, well, if it's not working out. It's never going to work out. This ain't this type of thing don't work out for people like me, and just all kinds of things like that. And I also feel like you might be like that strong one in the family, and you love your family, you respect your family, you believe in everybody, but you don't get that love back, right? You don't get the same energy and effort that you're putting into others. You're not getting that back. And so you're hearing me talk about losing my mom and all of that, and you're just kind of you're hearing it, but it's kind of like going over your head. And I want you to know, like, as you get to know me, as we grow, because we family, right? This you part of the heart tribe. And as you get to know me and as we grow, you will understand that everything has a reason and everything has a purpose. And my mom and I used to beef. Like my mom and I have went through um my mom and I used to beef. My mom and I have gone through things in a sense of we like we've been in physical altercations more than one time. There was a time when we walk down the street past each other, did not talk. I went my I didn't I probably didn't like see my dad from the time I was 3 to the time I was 14. I didn't talk to him from like 3 to 8. And then we had a fallout when I was like 17 and pregnant, and I didn't talk to him again for like another 7 years. And I share that to say my mom died, and she was like one of my best friends. And my dad's still alive, and I love him, and I don't have any anger and animosity towards him. And I say that up front now, right? But as we go through and get to know one another and come together and share, you get to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. You also might hear me say certain things and it may sound harsh, but it's not harsh. The truth of the matter is we have been taught to be nice when it's not necessary. When someone or something is hurting you, it is not necessary to be nice, right? It is necessary to tell the truth, right? And I feel like too many times we, especially us as Black people, especially Black women, we have been put in this position of saying, I'm supposed to take care of everybody else, so therefore I'm not being taken care of, right? And too many of us have experienced violation. We have experienced pain. We have experienced neglect, abandonment. Now, I'm talking about everybody at this point. And we as a society have too much that is going on in the world right now for us to keep stuffing things down and just pushing forward and trying to get better and trying to make it happen. We got too much going on in society for us to be doing that right now. Okay. So, when I talk about the things that I talk about, some of these things are hard to hear. And I also understand that many of you listening, like you might be listening and sharing your feelings and your emotions is not something that you commonly do, is not something that your family did, is not something that you feel comfortable doing. You may see it as a weakness. You may see it like, what's wrong with her? She need to get over that, where everybody goes through things. That's absolutely correct. However, the way you are wired as a human is not to internalize all of the trauma and the drama that you're going through in your life. And I believe that I have been sit here to remind you, to awaken you, to call you higher and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This ain't going to work. Hey, you need to tell the truth that hurt you and that bothered you. So when my mother died, okay, I'm the heart coach and I've been helping people heal and helping, like I've helped like hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, like confront issues that they have, start to look within and start to clean up themselves and allow the Holy Spirit to clean up their souls, right? And they start to live better lives and start to see themselves better. Because I truly believe when you change the way you look at things, the things that you are looking at will change, right? So, but my mama died and I just wanted to go with her. It hurt so bad. I remember that first week when we were in between, like planning the funeral and doing all of that. There are so many things I feel like I dropped the ball on. Like so many people call. I didn't have the capacity to take the calls. I mean, I so many calls I couldn't even take because the voicemails were full. Um, looking back in hindsight, there were so many things that I wish I could have done to just be able to take in all the love that was coming at me. But I was in so much pain, like physical pain. And then it got me thinking about, man, like that was the death of my mother. But how many people are feeling that right now? Like, look at what's going on in the world with all the federal employees being fired and all these grant funding being cut. And like this is people's livelihood. And it feels like death for a lot of people. And it's rough and it's tough and it's hard. But guess what? We gonna get through this. And I truly believe how we going to get through this, we going to get through this by telling the truth about how it feels, telling the truth about how we experiencing right now so that we can have the space necessary to grow and be able to navigate where we are right now. You matter. Your existence matters. I see too many people living, it's like society, culture, American culture, this the world as the Bible says it, the Bible talks about the world. And I reference that right now because it's like the world gave us this effed up like mold of this is how things should be. And it's always like something that's gonna cause you to be anxious or to be worried or to be worked up, right? And so going through like extreme depression, like I'm still like to be completely honest with you, I am nowhere near 100%. I didn't think I was ready to relaunch the podcast, but this is 1 year to the last episode of season 3 and it's like it's time. I'm this season 4 is dedicated to mommy. This is dedicated to Susan, to dear one, the dear one. And I'm here because I understand how much you matter. I understand how much all the hell that I caught in my life has a purpose. It's a purpose not just to help me, but to help you as well. And you got to stop acting like things don't bother you when you know you do. Like you got issues with your mama right now that you got to deal with, and you won't deal with it because you got so much respect for your mama. You got issues with your daddy, you won't deal with it because you got so much respect for him. And some people on the other side of the spectrum, like you holding grudges and you upset, but you're not really dealing with the situation and the matter at hand. And we got to work on this. We got to really work on this. So I wanted to open up our first episode back today and just kind of get you reacclimated for some, introduced to others. But I also want to leave you with some tangible, actionable steps that will help you through your life as you grow heart equity. This is how I grow heart equity. This is how I grow heart equity with my clients. This is how we do heart work. We go through the divine heart transplant process, right? And it's based off of a scripture, Ezekiel chapter 26, verse 36. And he talks about how I will give you, excuse me, Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26. And he talks about how I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. And I will remove the heart of flesh and replace it with the heart of stone. And I believe that we're constantly going through that in our lives. I believe that we are constantly experiencing the Lord renewing and restoring our hearts. I feel like just like our body heals itself every day, that's why rest is so important, right? You have to you have to allow your soul and your spirit to be healed and to be renewed. And your heart includes your mind, will, and your emotions. So you need your heart to be renewed. And this is the 6-step process that the Lord gave me um years ago when I started doing this heart work and doing heart talk. And I didn't know what I was doing. And that's a word for somebody like you trying to get all the answers. God is calling you to do something. He said, write the book. He said, move to that city. He said, create that recipe. He said, get that sewing machine and start making that creating that pattern that you see. He told you to get the blueprint, right? Start building the house that he gave you the vision of. But you're looking for all the answers right now. Because I knew I was. But over the last 10, 12, I can officially say I started heart coaching in 2006 when I started sending out inspirational text messages. That's how I became an author. I became a published author in November of 2015, self-published author. So I've currently published four books, self-published four books. Three of them are out for sale for you to purchase. And you can get that information on my link tree at linktree / the heart connections, and you can get the audiobook for help save me from my broken heart, the paperback help save me from my broken heart, which is highlighting the 6-step process that I'm getting ready to share with you now. And Anchored was the first book, and that came from it's a daily devotional designed to keep you anchored during the winds and waves of life. And I'm sharing this with you because I didn't really plan to do any of these things. I was just taking it one step at a time, trusting God. And this is how it started to work out for me. And I want you to be encouraged because sometimes I think that you want the whole business plan. You want everything mapped out. You want to know exactly how it's going to happen. You want to make it happen like that. And I just want to encourage you that that's not faith, right? It's not faith. And for those of you that believe in Jesus Christ, because I know everybody may not, but when I'm talking like this, I'm talking specifically to believers because when you walk by faith, there are certain things that God promises that He's going to do for us. And I'm here by faith. I'm going to be getting on here, talking with you, sharing all my business because I feel like it's important. I feel like I say it like that because that's how you're going to hear it sometimes. But everything is intentional. Because nothing you have gone through, nor anything I have gone through, is a waste, right? So my mom told me if she's worked the 12-step process and at her demise, she was getting ready to celebrate 14 years of sobriety. So proud of her. Because there was a time I never thought that she would be clean. And my mom told me this is one of the best compliments I could ever get. She was like, if I had your 6-step process when I was young, I probably would have never started getting high, or I probably would have stayed clean the first time. And that meant something to me when she said that. I found that was really important. And I realized that I thought too less of myself. I thought too less of this process because people weren't responding to me the way I saw them responding to other coaches and other people, and I could tell they full of crap. I could tell they teaching you one thing, but they not necessarily living it. I could tell that. But because I also know my own insecurities and my own flaws. I allowed those things to get so loud and to make so much noise in front of me that I stopped moving forward with doing this work. But I'm here now. I am here. So for those of you that are, like, man, I'm struggling. I'm trying so hard not to crash out. I feel like I want to give up. I feel like nobody understands me. I feel like everybody just want, and nobody is giving, giving, giving. Just know that I'm here. We can heal our hearts together. So this is the 6-step process of how we grow heart equity. This is pretty much how I've transformed my life. This is honestly, these 6 steps helped me get out of depression. I would go days without taking a shower after my mom passed away. And then I had to have surgery. And then I was like down for a while. It was just bad. I wasn't working. I couldn't work. The thought of answering the phone was just like too much. I didn't even think I could get that depressed. I didn't even think I could get that down. I really was really trying to like contemplate not being here. But I understand why, because grief is so bad. And I never heard anybody talk about how bad, I like really be honest about how bad it felt to lose their mom, how bad it felt to be neglected or abused or abandoned. Like people just internalize so much. And so I thought something was wrong with me that I was hurting so bad. And I'm talking about like within this last year. So we're going to heal together, and I'm going to go through these 6 steps with you, and then we'll get on here every week. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share with others. Let them know, hey, follow this podcast, share with others. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram at Heart Coach Talk, Heart Talk with Adelai Brown, right? TikTok, Heart Coach Talk 1. Let's stay connected. Let's keep each other motivated. Get the books. I promise you they're going to transform your life. My book, I'm proud to say, helped save me from my broken heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. Both of the books, but especially that one, I know brought my mom and I closer because when she read that book, she was able to see my perspective. It really was a turning point in our relationship. So if you're struggling right now, I encourage you to get a copy. And if you don't like to sit down and read the paperback, I have an audio version as well. So you can get all that on Linktree. Now let's jump into these steps. So the way I look at it is God is like our master surgeon. And Jesus died so that we could have a new heart, so that we could constantly be renewed. You hear people talk about being born again, right? And I believe that being born again is definitely dealing with your heart and your soul and your mind being renewed and restored. And so these 6, as we go through this process, I want you to just kind of see yourself, and I just want you to hear me. I'm going to always reference this. I'm going to always talk about this. I may go through these steps every episode. I don't know because they're always pertinent. But I use these steps to help me, and I'm still using it to help me to get restored, to get renewed, to get rejuvenated in my life right now. And so I just want to encourage you. I know where you are right now might be tough. I just want to encourage you that it did not take you one. It did. You didn't get in this situation in one fell swoop. Like everything didn't just happen all in one day. And so you're not gonna get out of the situation like that. But we gonna get through this together. Okay? I promise. Like we gonna get through this together. So let's just move through it. So I do encourage you to get your copy of the book. Go check out my YouTube channel. I have over 600 videos coming up to 700. I'm working on getting to 700 teaching about this because we need to heal. We really need to heal. All right. So step 1, when you are growing heart equity and you transforming your life and you want to have authentic wealth in every area of your life, personal, relationally, financially, the first thing you got to do is get connected. A connection is when you make a notable link, right? It's like if I want to charge this phone, I got this phone and I have this charger. So you see, we have the phone and we have the charger. And the first thing you have to do is connect. Now, this phone needs to be charged. And I got this charger right here. But is anything going to happen until I push the charger in? No, the phone will not charge. So, a lot of us are moving around in life. And I'm just being honest. Like, you are not connected. I believe that you have to be connected to how my mom would say, the God of your understanding. For me, is Jesus Christ. And so the first thing you have to do if you want to grow wealth and you want to really live the life that you've been created to live, you got to be connected. You got to make that notable link. You got to have a relationship with God. You got to spend time with God. You have to reset. You have to make God your first priority. And what does that mean? What does that look like? That means that you settle down. That means that you spend time every day praying, meditating, reading your Bible, or however you connect with the God of your understanding. You spend that time doing that, right? Um, when you do that, it's like a nourishment for your body. It's like you're feeding your spirit. You want your spirit to be fed so that your soul could be fed and be healthy, right? And we'll talk another time about spirit and soul and body. And I also talk about in the book Help Save Me from My Broken Heart. I talk about that in there as well. But A lot of times we're trying to grow this amazing life. We want to be in these amazing relationships. We want these wonderful careers, these big bank accounts, but we don't have the proper foundation in place to make this happen. And in order to have the proper foundation, you need to be connected. You have to make a connection. When my life was out of control, I ain't even going to go back that far. I'm going to start with what's happened recently. When I really felt like I could not go on, I couldn't believe that probably 10 years ago, I don't even know how I would have processed my mom's death because we weren't close. I mean, we had each other back, but it was so much friction. It was always bickering back and forth. And when mommy died, my relationship with Christ was the bedrock of what kept me here. It really was. Because I felt like I was going to lose my mind. There were times that I questioned, do I need to be hospitalized? Do I possibly need to take some medication? Because I did not feel like myself. Just being, just trying to get up in the morning, put on clothes and brush my teeth. It just felt like it was a lot. But God. So my connection, I would pray. I would cry out to God. I would take some quiet time and just sit and just allow the Holy Spirit to like work on me. At one point I couldn't read my Bible. I was so angry with God for taking my mom. I was just so frustrated and just angry with life because my life just felt so hard. But that connection, it kept me. I had someone to cry out to and to call on. That's the foundational level. And so that's what you build on, your connection. The next step, step number 2 is now connection brings about awareness. Awareness is literally like going from not knowing to knowing. Awareness is somebody's at your door, so you hear the knock. Now you're aware that somebody's at the door, right? I like to use this example for my real estate clients because it really sets in for a lot of people. But when we talk about making a connection, so I pray and I ask God to help me. I ask God to show me. So for my real estate clients, I'm praying and I'm asking God to lead and guide me through this home buying process, right? So we make that connection, right? That's step 1. Then we go to step 2, which is now awareness. So awareness in that process would be starting to pay attention to how you spending your money. For me, as I tapped into my connection in the year since my mom has passed, I became aware of how sad I was. And I realized that I needed to I just realized that the sadness that I was experiencing was a lot heavier than what I was normally used to being able to manage on my own. I was aware that I was starting to disconnect from other people. I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to go no place. I don't want to go out. And I'm still dealing with that right now, right? I was also becoming more aware of my capacity. Things that I thought I could do, things that I could do before, it just was too hard to do now. And that awareness brought me into, so awareness is dealing with you starting to realize what's going on in your life. You don't I can promise you, you probably are operating in a routine in your life that you just go through so normally because you are so used to it that you don't even realize this routine is happening. You don't even realize these things are taking place, right? And when you start to become aware and realize, that's how you can start to make changes in your life. But you don't get that awareness without first making that connection, because a lot of times we are numb because we're just so used to going through that process. Like, have you ever been in a space where you're driving home and you're so used to this routine of driving home that you kind of zone out? And the next thing you know, you getting ready to turn in your neighborhood. You already drove maybe a mile and a half and just didn't even pay attention to what was going on around you because you're so used to this process. Heart equity, growing heart equity is going to break the process. It's going to break the mundane. It's going to get you to get out of being dysfunctional to start being functional. It's going to get you from being toxic to being non-toxic or less toxic for a lot of us. But you can't do nothing if you're not aware. You got to start to pay attention to what are you doing? What are your behavioral patterns? What are your habits? What gets you upset? What gets you excited? What people get on your nerve? Who pisses you off? Who do you feel like you need to straighten up when you get around them and why? Start to be aware. Start to pay attention to yourself more. And that awareness brings us to step 3, which is acceptance. Now, I was aware of how sad I was. I was aware that I was having thoughts of not wanting to be on earth in this dimension anymore. I was aware that I wasn't eating well and I wasn't exercising. I was aware that I was down. I was depressed. But I had to accept the part that I was playing. I had to accept the reality that my mom is dead. She's gone. She's not here. And I'm going to have to live through this. And I had to accept that because for a very long time, I wouldn't accept it. It's like I would wake up and think, this is a horrible dream. And my mom about to call me. I'm still waiting for mommy on my phone. I'm still waiting for it. And the example that I use with real estate. So you have to be aware of your spending habits. And then when we get to acceptance, we have to accept that those spending habits are not going to work if you want to get in this house. If you are aware that you buy shoes every time you get paid, you can't live in your shoes. So when we get to the acceptance stage, we have to say, okay, I have to accept the fact that I'm going to have to stop spending money the way I am. I'm going to have to be more disciplined. I'm going to have to um be more accountable to somebody to help me with this. So for me going through the 6-step process with navigating grief with my mom, it's a lot of other things I've been grieving since this has gone on. I've had challenges with other family members I'm really close with. So not only grieving my mom, but grieving the fact that I haven't been in communication with people I love the way I want to. And so it's forcing me to accept that I can't force people to do nothing. It's forcing me to accept that I really don't have the control that I think I have. It's forcing me to accept that changes can happen in my life and I can go on even though I don't want to. I can, but I have to choose to do that. I have to accept that. I have to accept that depression is not the way I want to live. And with that acceptance, takes me to step 4. Now we have to forgive. I have to forgive my mama for dying because I have had to do that. I have had to forgive God. I've had to forgive myself. I'm still working on forgiving myself. I still have times when I think, man, I could have done more and my mama could have still been here. I think I could have prayed more. I could have worked harder, had more money to have more resources to do more things for her, but I have to forgive myself. I have to forgive. I have to forgive everybody. I just have to forgive in a whole sense and trust that Jesus got it. And it's tough. Forgiveness is tough, but it's also a pivotal turning point in your breakthrough, in your healing, in your divine heart transplant process. Because when you start to forgive yourself, it's like getting out of the rut. It's like now you are doing the work to build on this foundation. And forgiveness is important because you were forgiven by Christ. So you got to forgive others, but most of all, you got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself for the part you played. You got to forgive yourself for what you knew and didn't do anything about it. You also got to forgive yourself for what you didn't know. You got to forgive yourself across the board. And once you begin to forgive yourself, you can think more clearly. Because when you are thinking and living from a perspective of being guilty, being bad, being wrong, if you feel any of those things about yourself, any decision you make is distorted. So once you forgive yourself, step 4, now we get to step 5. Now you make a decision. A decision is not a choice. A choice means you have all these different options. When you make a decision, you cutting off every other option and you going with this one option. And you focus on that and you got a plan, and that's what we're doing. So you got to make a decision. So for me, I made a decision that I want to live. I made a decision that after forgiving myself, I made a decision that I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose to be served. God loves me, He cares about me, and I am choosing to do hard work collectively with you, with me, with others. Because I know that even though I'm still hurting, even though I'm still healing, even though I still go through these challenges, I know how much this work helps me. I know how much this work is helping everybody I'm around in real time in their lives. So I made a decision to live because it's not my time to die yet. It was my mother's time, but not mine. So from that decision, now we take action. And here we are. We do heart talk. I've never stopped doing heart talk, but I started doing heart talk um in a more private setting, not in a group public forum. So step 6 is take action. And that's where we are. I'm taking action. Season 4, The Heartline with Adelai Brown. This show is about us taking action and being proactive towards our healing. And this is about us growing heart equity. And this is about us being real. I'm going to have guests on here talking about their experiences. And I just want you to see yourself. I want you to hear these stories and understand that you can make it. You can get through. I was a teen mom living on housing, living on a project. Excuse me, getting a utility check, getting whatever I could get to get by, right? I know what it's like, to have a parent on drugs, to find drugs in your house, to be embarrassed by somebody because they high or because of this. Like I know what it's like to be embarrassed because you made bad decisions and you out here doing stuff you ain't got no business doing because that was me. I know what it's like to have an abortion. I know what it's like to have a car repossessed. I know what those things feel like to get fired. I know what those things feel like to be abandoned, to be rejected, to be abused. So that's why step 6, taking action, is important. So I'm taking action by operating the way God has called me to. So we will talk about real estate on this podcast. We will talk about life and hard work on this podcast because these things are important to me and these things matter. And I'm taking action every Tuesday night. We do heart talk where we take scriptures. We use the Bible and apply scripture to our everyday life. We use the scripture and use the scripture to guide us through our lives. We have prayer every Wednesday morning. We do monthly personal professional development trainings, the Heart Equity Exchange. That's where entrepreneurs, career professionals, community advocates, we come together. Where do you come to grow your business? Where do you come to grow yourself so that you can grow your business? Heart Equity Exchange. And now we're back with our show. This is for our Heart Tribe, the Heartline with Adelai Brown. And that's what taking action is about for me. These 6 steps: connection, that brings about awareness, that brings about acceptance, that brings about forgiveness, that brings about a decision, that brings about taking action, transforms our lives. I didn't even want to be here. I I didn't want to get off my couch. I didn't want to wash. I was so depressed. People don't like to talk about that. We get online and we go out and we look pretty and we look handsome, we smell good, looking good, and go home and are a wreck. Our families are dealing with all kind of hell and all kind of craziness going on. You got to know that you are not by yourself. You got to know that you already have the tools, the heals. You just got to work the steps. You can't skip no steps. You can't be trying to move the steps around. You got to work the steps and you got to trust the process. And that's what we're doing. And I'm here. I'm here. I'm committed. I believe God brought me out. I've been working these steps. I've been working these steps to even get back and do this podcast with you. You got to quit all this stunting and fronting. I know kids, what they say, stop all that capping. You got to keep it real. You see what's going on in our government. You see what's going on in the world. People getting sick, people dropping dead, young people, old people. Listen, we got to do this work. Everybody like, what do we need to do? We need to heal. We got to honestly confront the issues that are inside that are controlling our negative behavior that we show out into the world. Your feelings create your thoughts. Your thoughts create your actions. Your actions create your behaviors. Your behavior creates your life. It's time for you to get control. It's time for you to be accountable. But guess what? I know it's scary. There are a lot of people who stop talking to me because of hard work. And then years later, they come back because the truth hurts, but it also sets you free. So I know you ain't okay. I know you act like you okay, but you not okay. But guess what? We gonna get through this together, right? So we here. And I'm excited to be here with y'all every week. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow the show. Get with me on the social media. Find me. Pull up. Pull up. Let's do this together. Let's grow together. Because I truly believe when you heal your heart, you're going to transform your life. Y'all believe that? I believe that. So this is good. This feels good. This is a good first episode. Thank you, Heart Tribe. Thank y'all for being here. I'm so thankful to be doing life with you. And I also want to hear from y'all. You can email me at info@addiebb.com. You could also connect with me via social media. But you send the emails and you get directly linked to our team. And I want to hear from you. Do you have topics you want us to talk about? Is there a question that you want to ask me? I'm really open to doing some new and fun things this season on this format. So we're gonna be having guests coming on. We're gonna be doing live Q&As for those that are interested in doing that. So I just want you to stick around. This is definitely, I don't want this to be mundane, but I want to be consistent in us healing. But I want us to heal in different ways and grow together. Okay? So I love y'all. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you be here. And I love you. I'm thankful. I've been planning this and working on this for a while, and it just feels good to relaunch and to have the podcast here. So we are starting out Thursdays right here. You get a new show every Thursday. And we're just so thankful to be here and so thankful to be doing this work. So I am Adelai Brown, your heart coach. This has been the Heartline with Adelai Brown. And I will see y'all next week. Remember, when you heal your heart, you transform your life. We growing heart equity, y'all. Personal, relational, and financial wealth that we get through authentic living. You got this. I love you. I'll see you next week.